Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, columnist Jeremy Price. We're in good old, I call it Millennium Falcon Assembly Hall. Corman used to call it Spaceship Assembly Hall. One way or another, it looks like it should be fighting the Death Star, more or less. I mean, that's just, it's got that look. Anyway, we hadn't been back here in a while, and Indiana kind of wishes they weren't here today. Rough loss for Indiana. They lose 74-72 on just pretty, I don't want to use the word heartbreaking play, but it's just deflating, I guess is the best way to look at it. They were up by 10 with I think about 4:21 to go. Managed to lose that lead and lose the game on a wide open layup off an inbounds pass. Tyler Griffey just came off the screen, went right to the basket. Nobody followed him off the screen. Easy layup, ball game. And Indiana, which just got #1 back on Saturday by beating the previous #1 Michigan, comes into Illinois against a team that was 2-7 in the league. Coming into this game against and a team that they really had, they had control over this game and lost it. So IU will almost assuredly lose the #1 ranking next week. They become, I believe, the 5th straight #1 team to lose that week. I guess I think that makes sense. But yeah, 5th straight week that we've had a #1 fall. More or less, Jeremy. I mean, just what happened? I mean, what did we just even witness? How did this even occur?
Well, isn't that the question, really? I mean, I think that was sort of the reaction of everybody, from the players to the fans to everybody afterwards, was what in the world just happened,
Yeah.
3.5 minutes left. They were up by 9, like you said, 4.5 minutes. It was double digits. I mean, on the road, you'd like to think you're in pretty good shape with a 9-10 point lead with under 4 to play. That certainly indicates you've done something halfway decent.
Right, you're
to
in
that
control,
point.
and you've taken the crowd out of the game on some level. You've withstood sort of their first punch, and when you're in control at that point, you think it's pretty much going to happen.
But the bottom line is that Indiana did not put this game away when it had opportunities, and that goes back from the end of the first half through the second half to those final 4 minutes. I mean, there were opportunity after opportunity for them to do so, and they did not put Illinois away. And when you leave a team that has shooters like DJ Richardson and Brandon Paul in a game, anything can happen.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to look at the stats on this one. Indiana shot better from the field, shot better percentage-wise from 3, won the rebound battle, shot a better percentage at the free throw line. The thing was, Illinois made as many shots as them, even though Indiana shot a much better percentage. Illinois made more shots. Biggest reason, Indiana turned the ball over 14 times in this one. It's not a devastating total, but it's not a good one. And Illinois capitalized almost every single time. 28 points off of 14 turnovers. Now, obviously, they got some threes off of that, so they didn't score off of every one.
It just seemed like it.
It just seemed like it. And definitely, whenever Indiana was in a position where they were ready to put them away, they started turning the ball over. They got a little bit messy with that, and that led, again, like you said, to Illinois hitting 3-pointers. Illinois does not shoot a great percentage. They're about 328, I think, was what they were coming in the game. And they were 9 for 24 today. That's 37.5%. That's not phenomenal. But they keep shooting, and eventually it goes in. Eventually they hit, they hit a groove, and that's what they did tonight, basically, especially late. I mean, I think they had probably 4 in the last 6 minutes, I think, most of which were huge. Richardson hit back-to-back ones and then just stuck a kind of a fall-away jumper to tie the game at 70. Like right down the stretch, but they just managed, just to find openings and just to get, manage to get just enough space to just keep knocking down shots.
Yeah, and, what I wrote about tonight was kind of those missed opportunities Indiana had. They got it to 14 into the first half a couple of times, the last time being on the Will Sheehy dunk, on which he promptly got the technical foul.
Right.
And that really kind of killed that momentum right there, because Illinois went to the other end and got 4 points off the 2 technical free throws and then a basket.
Yeah.
So that, Indiana went from possibly being up 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe even at the half, to a 12-point halftime lead.
Right.
So that killed that momentum. They got it to 14 there midway through the second half again. And actually, at that point, Tom Crean elected to take Cody Zeller out of the game, put Hanner Perea in. And, we were sitting
Honor
right
got a
behind.
block, but he also got beat, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
We were sitting right behind the bench, and I heard Crean say, Cody can't play all 40 minutes, which is definitely true. I mean, you've got to pick your spots, and certainly with a 14-point lead, I'm no doubt that felt like a comfortable time. But like you said, Perea tried to help on a DJ Richardson drive, didn't get there in time. He scored. Next time down, 3-point play for the man Perea was guarding, and there went the momentum once again from 14 down to 9. And that was just kind of the way it went all night long. Was every time it got to 14 and you had kind of Illinois on the brink of being out of this one, somehow, some way, you kind of left that door open for them to come back through.
Yeah, no, they did. I mean, what Crean stressed, I think, in the post-game press conference, was an issue of overhelping again. I mean, what he said was, I asked him, what do you think you're not doing to put teams away? And he says, in this case, he says, you got to know your other team's strength. You got to know your team's strength and the other team's strength, and their strength is hitting threes, and that means you don't overhelp on drives. Basically, you don't collapse. You don't fall in the middle when somebody drives or beats their guy or whatever. You stay locked into them on the threes. When they're in the corners, you stay there. And I don't think all those threes were a case of that, of guys helping too much, but enough of them were. I mean, you just haven't had a chance obviously to watch the film yet, but just seeing the shots that were on the highlights just on that ESPN had on there, there were at least a couple of those occasions where guys just sort of drifted away. And ball gets out to the wing, and it's DJ Richardson, and he's got to look, and that's absolutely not what you want in that case, especially when you're protecting a lead. I mean, you can deal with a 2-point, you can deal with a layup and survive and answer it. When they start piling up threes, that's how you get back. Yeah,
and Illinois, they're going to shoot a bunch of threes, and that's fine. I mean, if you want to render them one-dimensional in shooting the three, that's fine. But what makes them dangerous is when they start dribble driving, get in the lane, driving and kicking. That's when things get dangerous, and that's exactly what happened in this case. And a combination of that with a couple of defensive miscommunications, a couple switches that weren't made, maybe people just not quite being aware of the scouting report. Tyler Griffey got open for a couple threes. And if you
he hit one over his zone too. He hit one over his zone too, and they knew that. I mean, and that, the zone one, I think you have to say, is on scheme in that case. I mean, he got to look at the top of the key. Just wide open at the top. I think there was one of them. I can't remember if somebody came off a screen or if he hit it over a guy or what. But he hit a couple. But he did hit one in between two defenders up top on the zone, and it just seemed like, I mean, I've obviously defended the zone before. I mean, there's sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know that. I don't think it worked tonight. I thought Michigan. It worked a lot better in Michigan State than everybody thought initially, because a lot of those threes that people thought were against zones were not. I don't know if that'll be the case this time. I think there were a couple threes that they hit against the zone that helped them get back into it.
Yeah, I think it was hit and miss, but I mean, the percentages are indicative of the fact that it's not Illinois. Illinois wasn't shooting the lights out against the zone necessarily, or whatever, one way or the other. I mean, it was,
but Griffey got that one look that way.
Yeah.
But basically, you mentioned miscommunications. Obviously, that was what happened on the last play. Basically, Crean just said, and the other guys just said, it was just a miscommunication. There's got to be a switch there, basically, and it seemed like Watford switched and Farrell didn't. It seemed like, Watford was chasing a guy down the other sideline. It seemed like, I think Watford was on Griffey, and it seemed like Farrell got kind of caught up. And, obviously, I don't think he thought I should be covering a 6'9" guy when he's breaking the basket on an inbound pass.
Yeah.
Maybe he overthought that. I don't really know. I mean, we didn't get Yogi. We got Watford, and he just said, that there was a miscommunication, and that it was just miscommunication between he and Yogi. I guess, it looked like Zeller was involved in it, but I'm pretty sure if you watch it again that he wasn't. Actually, Zeller was on his guy, and that there was a point guard screening. I'm not exactly sure who made the screen, but I think it was kind of a point guard screen for Griffey, and nobody followed Griffey. It was essentially what happened. There's just a situation where you've got to switch there, and it didn't work out that way. They've rebounded from losses before. Obviously, this one's a little bit different in a way because they had just got number one back. They had just had that really big win against Michigan, and everybody was starting to talk. Not only, I got asked the question today, not only does this team deserve to be number one, but is it the best number one? Is this, in fact, not one of those paper teams that's going to lose it as soon as it gets it, but one that's going to keep it? And, there is, I think, that this is deflating in some way. This is a tough team mentally, it seems like, and they should be able to come back, and I don't think this will kill them on Sunday against Ohio State. But I guess, what do you think? What does this do to this team going forward?
Well, I think the first thing it does is it makes winning at Ohio State a lot bigger deal than it was.
That's true.
Games are never really must-wins until after you lose them. And so, in retrospect, all of a sudden, this game wasn't a must-win.
Yeah.
But,
no one was talking about it that way before they lost it, but now it kind of was.
And now Indiana's in a position where if they're going to win the Big Ten title, they are literally going to have to win it on the road because they've got games at Ohio State, at Michigan State, at Minnesota, and at Michigan left to go. So they've got all the heavyweights on the road to go. So they're going to have to to definitely put this one behind them and put forth better performance going forward on the road.
No, obviously they've been good on the road. I think they've won 5 straight or whatever, and they beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. You know, they beat Purdue on the road, they beat Northwestern on the road, they beat Penn State on the road. You know, they won at the venues where you're supposed to be able to, you know, I don't want to say they just got the easy ones, but you know they got them against teams that are a little bit down at the moment. And this one was, you know, a little bit more of a test, but it just still seemed like this Illinois team was reeling, that it was having a really hard time. But you know, Indiana knew, obviously, that they've got guys like Brandon Paul and Richardson that can step up and hit shots, and I don't think they came in here with any illusions that this was going to be easy. But when you really look at the ones that you got to pick up, the teams that you got to beat if you're going to win a Big Ten title, this is the sort of one you got to get. And now at this point, that there aren't a lot of easy ones on the road after this. And I don't think there is one. I'm pretty sure that the teams you talked about them playing on the road are all they have left on the road.
Yes.
So I don't know if they got to win them all, but they got to come pretty close.
Yeah.
If they're going to win a conference title and get a 1 seed and all those things.
Yeah, minimum 2 out of 4, probably 3 out of 4 realistically.
Right, more than likely. So, and it's a really, really, really tough one on Sunday. Anyway, thanks, guys.